Morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning, Rob. I can hear you.
Oh, good morning. How you doing, Renee?
Thank
Fantastic. All right. So today I'm broadcasting from the MSC side here in Cozumel. So hopefully my internet holds up. And if anybody is curious, actually there's a hack to get a a lot of free stuff, including this cruise I'm on, which was a free cruise. So anyway, if you're interested, maybe at the end, I'll just share with you that little hack. Tomorrow is the first day of the second half of the year. Can you believe that? So we're moving on. I see Eric. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, thank you. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So it's the second half of 23 now, Eric. Can you believe it?
Went very, very fast. Got a lot of deals cooking.
I know, right? We got a lot of wood to chop here.
I know, that's true.
So I wanted to share with everybody kind of a few things. Yeah, I'm going to mute everybody. If you talk, you just unmute yourself if you don't mind. So I was thinking about the, we always talk about, planning strategies, a lot of different techniques, but I wanted to maybe take a little bit more of a big picture look at, the second half of the year. And, this is also through the lens and context of, where I'm at. So the science of success, goals, and motivation, been through a lot of Tony Robbins, read a lot of self-help books, do a lot of research, been around a lot of successful people. And I wanted to kind of, take a little bit of a dive into, why we do what we do, what our motivation is. And then I'm going to give you some techniques to have more predictable, sustainable success and enjoy the process. And this is in kind of no particular order, but, we're in the business of real estate. Why do we make goals? Why do we do what we do? Why are we independent contractors and not employees? And I think a lot of these things come to these three main categories, and maybe I'm missing something. If I am, share it with me. But, the clearest opportunity for being self-employed or being an independent contractor is to achieve financial independence, no cap on how high you can go. Why do we do it? You want to provide and have some certainty that your finances are in order, provide for your families. Perhaps you want to be debt-free. I know there are many of us on this call I see that have actually taken the initiative to buy additional income properties, have some income streams. Why do we do all these investments and dedicate time and improve our skills? We want to have nicer cars, nicer houses, better vacations, better toys, peace of mind. And I think this one I put on the bottom here, it's its own category. Goal setting is also very relevant to our own health, because I'm here on a cruise. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people who, are not in the good health, and they're on these cruises. They aren't mobile. Many of them haven't taken care of themselves. So they're maybe examples of what we need to focus on health for, so that we can enjoy what we do and enjoy the benefits of what we've been doing, feel bright, feel vibrant, be more independent. My parents are, in their 80s and probably not the most healthy 80s. And I see, people that live in 80s and 90s, very independent, healthy. So I think focusing on health is also good for business. It's good for ourselves. It's good for our friends, families, and loved ones. And, we can live longer, more valuable or a higher quality of life. And then the last piece is you know, some people work hard for contribution. I know we have many agents in our family that do things that are very selfless. You know, we have somebody going to, you know, we have one of our agents probably for 10 years been going to help provide water for third world countries. And I do think we have two agents that are also going on another mission to help, you know, third world countries to provide, you know, better health care and sanitary conditions. So these are the three main reasons why we do it. And then I want to go into the process to building a goal or a model for achievable goals and how to go ahead and do it. I put a little note here, leverage the three ghosts. You know, if the Christmas Carol had the ghost of Christmas present, the ghost of Christmas past, and the ghost of Christmas future. And I think that we need to look at ourselves and look at where we are now, you know, look at where we've been. And then most importantly, you know, what does our future and our legacy look like? Okay. So goal setting, I did some, you know, research and I've looked at what really resonates with me. And the art of getting achievable goals is to have a process. The first is SMART goals, and it doesn't mean wise goals. It's really an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timed or time bound. Okay, because you know a goal has to have an end date, right? Otherwise, it's really not a goal. It can go on forever. It has to be relevant. It needs to be attainable. You know, at this stage of my life, I could not have a goal of being a professional pitcher in the major leagues. It's not possible. It needs to be measurable and it needs to be very specific. Okay. Does anybody, you know, have a goal that you feel comfortable maybe sharing with the group as far as what the second half of the year is going to look like, and kind of measure it up against these, you know, these 5 points up there? So you have a goal.
Rob, I have a goal.
Okay.
So I think of goals as setting a GPS for where you want to go. And unless you have a GPS, which is planning out specifics, you won't be able to achieve them. So I know that my goal is X, and I know what I have to do in order to get there. And I need to keep myself accountable, or I hire someone to make me accountable.
Fantastic. And I think you're a good example of having a goal. And what was one of your recent goals?
I have way too many. I think my biggest and my most important goal was getting Tinton Falls to where it is today. And along the line, we had, you know, there were some pitfalls, but the mentality is that if you fall off the horse, you just have to get back on and brush yourself off. And I think that's where a lot of agents get frustrated with. If they don't get it right away, they give up. And that's, I believe, one of the most important and critical mindsets that one has to have. You can't give up. You just have to keep pushing forward.
And sometimes goals require you to make tough choices, right?
Absolutely. And you have to come out of your comfort zone many times. And again, many of us are afraid or intimidated by doing something that we've never done before. It's the unknown. Oh my God, you know, I can't do this. So again, it's the mindset and keeping the accountability part. And that mindset, I think, is crucial to anything in life. You need to look at the glass half empty and not, the glass half full and not half empty. And I think, I know it's an old cliche, Rob, but you know how right that is. We just need to think positively that, hey, you know what? I might not get to my goal the first time around, or maybe not the second or the third, but damn it, I'm going to try all the time until I get it.
Yep. So I know you have you have a unique goal. You're transitioning and opening up a new business.
Yes.
So I mean, this is extremely relevant to you. For many of us, where we've been in the business for a really long time, sometimes we take for granted the power of goal setting and maybe one of the most important parts of goal setting, which is goal achieving, right? I mean, it's easy to set a goal, probably harder to achieve one, right?
Yeah. And what I can attest to is I had a goal in mind, but it wasn't until I sat with you and Wayne and I go, okay, to get to this goal, I have to do A through Z, things I never thought that I had to do. Luckily, I'm blessed that I have a mentor like you and Wayne, and I go, okay, this is what I have to do, and I have to get ready. And I made a list and I said, okay, I'm going to put X amount of hours aside to work on it. And if I don't get it right, I'll just have to redo it again. Again, it's that mindset of I'm not going to probably get it right the first time around, and maybe not the third or the fourth or the fifth, but every time I fail, I learn something and I turn a challenge into an opportunity.
I think one of the most important things that Maria mentioned is making a list, preparing for that action, create your action plan, because it brings a reality to your goal. You know, if you write it down and you create this action plan and you keep it in front of mind, you know, put it on the mirror where you get ready in the morning or on your desk when you come in. That's been very successful for me. It's just a constant reminder of what I'm doing, everything that I do for.
And Bob, isn't it, Rob, Rob and Rob? But we also have to make our goals achievable. Okay. We all want to make $1 million, right? But you know what? For many of us, that's not going to be a feasible goal. We have to take it one step at a time. Eventually, you might get to the $1 million, but at the same time, we have to keep our goals in check and make them attainable with a little bit of, of a push. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
Well, for myself, I'm an old Floyd Wickman guy, a sweat hog guy, and
Yeah, so am I.
The three specific, obtainable, realistic. You know, what's realistic for me is not what's realistic for someone else.
Exactly.
So, you know, specific, obtainable, realistic, that kind of encapsulates it because it's different for everybody. But $1 million is just way too broad. I mean, it's
right.
And that's usually what everybody says. Oh, I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like you said, like Floyd Wickman, they have to be attainable and it's specific to each individual.
So I think everything that both of you had mentioned are all going to be encapsulated, or there's going to be segments of them in these 12 strategies. And then I think you can have the best strategy, but if you can't, implement it, it's all for naught. So I'm just going to, go through, I'm going to read the action plan or the 12 strategies for achieving your goal. It's create an action plan with milestones. Okay. So if you're going to be time bound, you have to have milestones. If you're going to make $1 million, okay, that's $83,000 a month. Maybe you have to start out by making $8,300 a month. And then you yourself up to that ultimate goal. And then sometimes, and I'm sure we've all been there where we've had a goal and then we've achieved the goal and we're like, wow, I need to move the goal. I need to move the goalposts further because I can do better than that. Okay. So it's not always, Maria, that or Rob, that we overreach and say, I want to make $1 million. You know, there are some people that are making $1 million and maybe want to make $2 million. And, you know, that may seem to some of us as unrealistic. But for others, that goal might be that they want to use that additional income to have long lasting changes and make impacts in other people's lives. That might be the anchor that helps them stay on that goal. So create action plan with milestones, break bad habits. When I was have milestones, you know, break bad habits. I was listening to a TED talk, and bad habits are just bad choices. Okay. And I don't know if it was, you know, Rob Durso, but I was speaking recently with somebody, and, you know, our office in Westfield had 4 years in a row, we had the Remax Rookie of the Year in New Jersey. And the reason I mentioned that is one of the recipients of that award who did phenomenal. You know, the next year they had the sophomore slump, as they might call it, where they had all the accolades, they had this success beyond what they expected. Then they went into a slump. Anybody want to guess what caused the slump? But you, Rob Durso, you could guess.
I was gonna say all the success, you get a little maybe comfortable.
You get comfortable, right? So what happened was, and I can probably name 25 people in my career that once they've hit a certain plateau or they hit where they need it to be, and sometimes it's, you know, people stretch for, hey, I just need to have enough income so I'm not incurring debt. I can pay all my bills and move forward. Other people have aspirations of, you know, buying new cars and investment properties and whatnot. But the thing I find in common with a lot of them is once you've reached a certain level of success, you become complacent and you go back, you regress to your old ways. So in the, I think this was our second Rookie of the Year that we had. The second year, coming to the end of the first quarter, business was down. I called them, sat down with them in the conference room, like, so tell me what's going on. Is there anything wrong? Can I help you out? He's like, no, everything seems fine. I'm like, have you looked at your numbers? He's like, no, not really. You're down about 40% off of last year. He's like, oh, like, what's changed? And he's like, nothing. I'm like, well, are you working from home in the morning? He's like, no. I'm like, well, tell me about your habits. And, you know, it went from getting in the office at 6:45, 7 o'clock when he was really hungry to getting in the office at 10:30 or noon. And he wasn't working from home. So that was bad habits. And you need to make choices and have empowering habits. And I'm going to say that, you know, when you have bad habits, it doesn't mean you feel good because you have bad habits. I can tell you the mental state of this individual was not as healthy as it was when everything was going well. It was just plain and simple, a bad habit. And, you know, it's a choice on what habits you have. It's a choice on, you know, whether you exercise, whether you get up early, whether you make your calls, whatever you need to do. Those are all choices. And those choices are also based upon your ability to focus and have self-discipline. Okay. And a lot of these all come together, and self-discipline also is connected with your ability to focus and avoid distractions. And when I was coming up with the topic for today, I was just trying to figure out, well, what do most people do with their free time? Anybody want to guess what most people do with their free time? Number one is watch TV. Number two is video games. Number three is social media. Number four is social surfing on the web, like for basically killing time. Those are all, in my opinion, probably not empowering, self-discipline items. Those are all kind of the distraction category. I'm going to just go through these quickly, and then I'm going to go through what I think is the solution, and will be a little bit more of a conversational piece. Eliminate distractions, leverage daily or monthly targets. Here's where I want to talk to, Ron or Carly or anybody who did or whoever did RAMP. Now in RAMP, Ron or Maria, did you have like daily point targets? Yeah, Ron, you still on? Anybody took
We
RAMP?
did.
Remember?
Yes,
We had to do 72 or 71 points a day, I believe.
62 points a day.
62 points a day. And what would constitute a point?
A phone call would be a point. A closing would be 10 points.
Okay, so you get the idea. So everything has like a quantifiable value to it, right? So, leverage daily or monthly targets. There was a gentleman, Rob Garber, are you still on? I'm on with us? I thought I saw him before.
Yes, I'm on.
If I mention a letter, can you just share with me what comes to mind? The letter, you know what letter I'm going to say?
The letter Q.
You got it. We're on the same page. So can you tell us in 30 seconds what the letter Q means to you?
So the letter Q references a Remax agent who came out of college with a business degree and went into working in an office space, and decided that he didn't like being in an office space. He liked being out amongst people, meeting people. So he decided he was going to go into real estate, and he made it his business to meet and greet as many people as he possibly could. And what he did was he had a point system that he applied each day, referencing items like phone calls, appointments, closings, writing offers. And if he didn't achieve the goal, his daily goal, he just kept going until he achieved the goal. And he wasn't above, doing things like going to the local supermarket and bagging groceries for people so that he could talk to them while he was bagging their groceries. Or he would go to, construction sites where houses were being built. And, as people would drive by, and stop to take a look, he'd be walking over to them and talking to them about the houses and introducing himself. And he developed a business that made him, one of the fastest Remax agents to achieve the highest award goals that Remax offers. And it happened to him in just a matter of a couple of years because he was driven and he had a routine and he stuck to it. He didn't deviate. I'm not having a good day. I'm going to go home. No, that didn't happen. He just kept going and going.
So there's an individual who took to heart measuring the performance on a daily basis. And I believe from when he spoke at R4 that that was part of his DNA, right? Robert, he wasn't going to let a day go by unless he checked all those boxes.
That's correct.
Okay. So leverage daily and monthly targets, avoid
Alexa off.
procrastination, anticipate obstacles. I mean, there are always going to be things that get in the way. There are always going to be people who don't want to see you succeed. Okay. There are always people who wish that you don't succeed. Okay. Seek out inspiration, track your progress, manage your time, and then number 12, hold yourself accountable. Now I put a reference to where I got these 12 from, but I think that we can really consolidate these things down, okay, into what helps you become successful. And there was a study by the American Society of Training and Development that found you're much more likely to achieve your goal. And I'm going to give you 4 things. I'm going to ask you which ones you think are the most important. Set a very specific goal, write it down, share your goal with somebody, have an accountability partner. Those are 4 things. Which one you think is the most correlated to a successful outcome? Set a specific goal, writing it down, sharing it with someone,
Accountability.
being an accountability partner.
Can me write it down?
Okay, yeah, when you talk, if you can just say who you are, so I can not have to go back and forth. So I hear Rob Durso, and who said write it down?
Raina. I said write it
Raina,
down.
okay. Anybody else have an opinion?
Write it down, Rebecca.
Rebecca. Okay, so here are the results from this study. Setting a specific goal, only 7%. Writing your goal down increases your success rate to 28%. Sharing the goal with somebody else, 65%, and having an accountability partner, according to this study, was 95%. I found that to be a little bit hard to believe, and I did some research. The lowest I found that to be is 85%. If you have an accountability partner, it has an 85% chance of helping you achieve that goal versus not. Pretty powerful, right? Did the RAMP program have any accountability partnerships component to it?
Yes, we had an accountability meeting at least once a week.
Now, did anybody ever join a gym and not go and want to admit it? I'll admit I did it. Anybody ever do that?
Yeah.
Now, is there anyone that ever had a friend that you joined the gym with, and then you'd say, hey, I'll meet you there at 4 o'clock, or I'll meet you there at 6:30 at night or at 8 in the morning, and you actually found out that you actually wound up going because somebody expecting you to be there?
Yes.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I remember when I had my my friend Scott and I, was going way back, we used to go to the gym, I'd actually show up because it was like an appointment. And I think that same accountability mindset will help us to stay on track, share ideas, keep the positive aspects of accountability, motivating us for, the ultimate achievement of what's most important to us. If any of us on here are Tony Robbins fans, I'm going to try to connect a lot of things. Floyd Wickman, Tony Robbins, a lot of these success gurus, have, strategies, formulas. And I don't think it's because they have great publicists. I think it's because their strategies do work if they're utilized. And Tony Robbins, from probably the Awaken the Giant or one of his early books, had the ultimate success formula. And step 1 is decide what you want to accomplish. Okay. And according to Tony, that decision or the writing the goal was to cut off any other alternative. And he gave some pretty good examples. He said, if you, and Randy, this will be you in a little bit. If you have a child and, I know one of our children in our family is walking at 11 months. And I know some kids don't walk until a year and a half. But is it an option, Rena, if your son or daughter doesn't walk when they're 11 months? I mean, are they going to eventually walk? And the answer is yes, because you make that decision. So it's not like a negotiable item. Step 2 is you take steps to achieve it. Step 3 is you assess how effective your approach is. And, if your approach isn't successful, it doesn't mean that your goal is going to fail. It means that you need to make adjustments. and you need to alter your strategy until you can achieve and reach your goal. And I think a lot of us overestimate what we can accomplish in 30 days and underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. Okay, a lot of us don't have the patience, so we want to get something done in 30 days and we get frustrated, but we can't imagine what we could actually accomplish in 5 years if we, exercise the discipline and had an accountability partner to help us take our business and our lives to that next level. Is there anybody on today's call that actively uses an accountability partner?
This is Raina again. I am on a team, so we have check-ins on Fridays. I send out my CMAs. So I do one a day for the week, and then I send them over to my team leader, Emily. And then we have meetings every other week to check in on my goals and to make sure that I'm taking the next steps to get ready for whatever is ahead of me for the next month, and to keep on doing money-making activities or whatever is possible for me to do in the time that I have.
Thank you for sharing that. And how do you feel that helps you?
I definitely feel like if I wasn't on a team, I wouldn't, have that, like you said, accountability. I also came into the business not really knowing the business. So Emily really helped show me what I needed to do to be successful and to be a successful agent, and always is pushing me to do more and, asking me, do you think that the most important thing is, like, we'll set a goal and she'll say, do you think that you're able to accomplish this? So I don't want to set a goal that I don't think would be realistic. So right now we're setting up things for me to do while I'm going to be out after I have the baby. So, getting myself on an automated schedule for some of my social media and doing other posts and postcards that I can do. So I really think that it's helped me achieve all the goals that I have so far, and it keeps me in line. And I know, like, if I don't do these things by my next meeting, I'm not going to get in trouble, but, I'll just be honest and say, hey, I didn't get a chance to do these things, but I really like to be an overachiever. So if I don't do it, then I get kind of disappointed in myself.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to, hopefully make a match where a couple of people on this call make the decision to have an accountability partner, where maybe at 8 a.m. you text each other, or at 6 o'clock at night you text and you say, hey, here's what I accomplished today. Okay. And if you don't have somebody in the company or a friend that you feel comfortable doing that, talk to your manager. See if you guys can share a schedule of, hey, here's what I accomplished today. And sometimes just the writing it down will force you to be more conscious of what you're doing during the day. All right. I have a suggestion, piggybacking off the Q discussion here, is everybody can just wear your name tag and maybe initiate 5 conversations a day. When you're in line, when you're out and about on your day, if you initiate 5 conversations, just to introduce yourself. You don't need to say, hey, my name's Rob, you buying or selling a piece of real estate. You can say, hey, I'm Rob, I just wanted to introduce myself. How you doing today? And, sometimes people will come and say, oh, you're with Remax. Oh, I my daughter's buying a property or whatever. If you have 5 of those a day and you did that for a year, that would be a lot of conversations. Is there anybody that can imagine that wouldn't result in extra business? Anybody want to say, I don't think it would result in at least one sale? Either have a quiet group here, Rob Durso, or everybody agreeing.
I think if you could meet 5 new people every day, you'd be a superstar.
That's 18,000 hellos or 1,800 hellos in a year. 1,800, not thousand. 1,800 hellos in a year. And if you do the division by 40, that's going to be 30 to 45 transactions a year by the rule of 1 in 40 conversations equals a transaction. That's a game changer. How many of us haven't initiated 5 conversations in the past week? Say, hey, my name is Rob. I just want to introduce myself for no reason. My guess would be a lot of us haven't. Yep, there's a few of us on here. Yes, this is a tactic, not a goal. You're right, but it's a tactic to help you get to the goal. Right? And accountability is a tactic to help you get to your goal too. So if we could, just make some small changes and do them consistently, it's going to move the needle in a huge way.
Rob, I wanted to just add something if I could. Back when I was managing, I had a couple of agents in the office who we had a set time every week that we had a phone call and we talked about anything that was on their mind, whether it was questions they had about deals they were in or problems they were having that we needed to come up with a solution with. And I'm not saying this to point a finger at me. I'm saying it to point a finger at what happened to them because they knew that every week they were going to be sitting down with me or talking with me on the phone. But I will tell you that both of these agents more than doubled their business on a yearly basis. And if you ask them, they would tell you it's because I have to have something to tell Robert when I speak to him on the phone. So I think that finding that partner, if it's not a friend in the company, but like Rob said, using your manager, it's definitely a game changer. And I would say from a personal level, when I first started in real estate, I had a manager who sat with me twice a week, along with the top listing agent in the office, to work with me to develop a listing conversation. And twice a week for an hour. And they had a system that I needed to follow if I wanted to be successful in that endeavor. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me from a standpoint of being, an agent and being able to walk into a listing conversation on a moment's notice. So having that accountability was immeasurable to your business.
And Robert, I know we talk about these things a lot. And, a lot of times we hear it, but we don't take action, right? We don't build it into our routine. And, one of the things that I found in my career is once you break the chain, so if you, skip, 1 week, it's easier to skip another week, right? And, we just need to build it into our habits that, this is the process that helps us to become successful. Robert is sharing with you, not selected experiences. Were there any agents, Robert, that you met with every week that didn't improve their business?
No.
And there's no ulterior motive. I mean, it would be reasonable if you said, hey, I had 7 of them, 6 or 5 of them that I met with weekly improved their business, 2 didn't. But the reality is, if you take that initiative and you are the person that wants to meet and hold yourself accountable, that success and improvement is inevitable.
I mean, there were agents who didn't want to do it. I mean, they were, they were concerned about having that meeting every week. and having to, talk to the accountability partner and say, no, I didn't do it, or I'm not following it. And that was like too much pressure for them they felt to put themselves under. So there definitely was that kind of reaction from people. But I think that as time went on and they started to hear about, some of the success stories in the office, they became a little more open to the possibility. So it's not 100%, like you say, but it's certainly worth the effort.
Yep. So, so if we could have 5 groups of individuals that say, hey, I'm going to take on a daily accountability partner. Maybe it's Monday through Friday, and maybe it's as simple as a text in the morning with what you did and a phone call once a week. Honestly, I think that would move the needle. Now, you said they increased 50%, Robert, or doubled their business. I'm not sure I heard you correctly.
Doubled.
They doubled their business. So, no coaching program, no financial investment. Okay, just a commitment to speak to one of your peers on a regular basis. And it can even be, a daily text and a weekly call. Do you think that would move the needle, Robert?
I do.
And our culture. Do you think there are a lot of people in the organization that would be willing to be accountability partners?
I do.
So, if we can make 5 accountability teams from today's call, I think it would be a success. I think the market, whether, we analyze the market, is the market going to be up 15% next year? Is it going to be down 8%? Is it going to be, what's the prediction for the market? Does that matter, Robert, if you have a plan?
No. Does not matter at all. I mean, you've heard me say it before on these calls that my biggest years in real estate were when the market crashed. So it's just because I had a process and I worked hard and I didn't let the naysayers get me down.
Yeah, the market is down 30% from the, or whatever it is. I bet you there's at least 20% agents, if not more, left the business. So are agents that are growing the business astronomically in a constricting choice, whether you're one of those agents or whether you're going to be one of the ones that are competing for maintaining your same market share. And maintaining your same position, to me, is exciting. I mean, if the market down 20%, down 20%, down 10%, to me, that's not exciting. If the market 20% and you double your business, that's exciting. And I think the business is about adapting and embracing new techniques and strategies, being relevant, not doing the same old dog pony show. The same old tricks aren't going to work this year as they did last year, and not going to work this year as they might this year. So, having systems to hold you accountable, making adjustments to what doesn't work, very relevant. I actually was helping an agent offer, and actually, I think one of our, I think Chair actually had shared this. She had an offer, an escalation clause without a cap, which was a first. And when we were talking to a new member that joined our, they were saying that, Aaron shared this, they were saying that they had competing escalation clauses, kept escalating each other. And then Sharon mentioned the one without a cap, a $700,000 offer, a $2 million approval. I guess theoretically the cap is 2 million, but they said they'll, the best offer by $5,000 without a cap. These are things that are changing in the marketplace that we're in. Growing your business, maintaining business, those are all pieces. Fighting to maintain your business is not exciting as having a realistic, achievable plan to grow business by, 10, 20, 50, 100%. And I'm going to be the first to admit, if I was to always fishing, do I feel a lot of the times, sometimes I feel like doing the same thing over and over again. I think we all feel at some level that it's the same way. And if I can be more efficient, I can double my effectiveness, double my productivity. I think, and most of us probably have that in us. And that creative energy, the ability to get systems to hold themselves more accountable. And I will also say, when I stick to my plan, if it's, getting up early, it's, starting my day at a certain time, checking all the boxes. At the end of the day, I feel better than if I kind of, slept an extra hour and a half and missed a lot of my targets. So not only is it better for my business, it's better for my, my mental state, and I feel better. So why do I allow myself not to have the leverage to do that more consistently? Maybe that's accountability partnerships. I'm not sure.
Rob, that's one of the reasons that I always encouraged my agents to make their phone calls first thing in the morning. Take that hour or 2 hours a day that you set aside for phone calls, do it
Right.
up front, so that if the rest of the day gets away from you, at least at the end of the day, you can sit down and say, hey, I made my phone calls at least. And what's more important than that? So.
I agree. I hope this is thought provoking, and makes us take a step back as we basically have the happy half year. Tomorrow is July 1, second half of the year. Let's get excited about cranking it up for the second half of the year, and let's not be, intimidated by what the market may or may not do. Let's, if the market's challenging, it's harder for others who don't adapt and don't invest in themselves to succeed. Okay. I look, Rob Garvey, how many years have you been in business?
17.
17 years. It's a second career or
Second career. I was
And,
for 30 plus years, I was in the garment industry.
and Rob Durso, you've been 30 some years in the business?
38 in September.
38 in September. And how many of those 38 years did you ever think like, well, the market's down 20%, I need to curtail my lifestyle by 20%?
I have been blessed that I never thought about anything except me, in the sense of I just did what I had to do. If I had to work harder to maintain my lifestyle, I did it. If I could coast a little, I did it. Unfortunately, I usually had to work harder because I always stretched my lifestyle to the limit. So I'm just motivated in that respect. I'm blessed. I I never worry about what the other guy's doing. As a matter of fact, I try to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. I try to be contrarian. When everybody else stops marketing, I double down. It's just worked for me. And I think those of us who are like me probably agree, we as salespeople are not like everybody else in general. We're a different breed of person. I don't even know that we're type A, type B, type C. I think we're a unique type all to ourselves. So if you're motivated in general, I think there's more than enough for everybody right now. A down market is an opportunity. When everybody else says it's a down market, it's an opportunity for us.
And I'm gonna kind of close that loop, Rob Durso, by saying that I think the most, and not to say that there aren't, exceptions to all these rules, but the most successful people I've seen in this business are not MBAs from fancy business schools. They are teachers, nurses, social workers that like to help people. And the programming or the DNA of helping people, that mission leads to abundance, financial abundance. And sometimes if you're chasing, the commission check instead of helping the individual, it's not sustainable over a longer period of time. And I know that sounds super corny, but is there anybody that, can relate to that and wants to share it, or anybody wants to, dispute that and say that's crazy?
I have to agree with that, Rob. I think, you have to be useful for clients and then achieving their goals.
Yep. Eric, can you still hear us?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I think that you got to be very helpful to your clients in achieving their goals and not be so focused on how many million you have in the bank or how many houses you have, because every day you wake up, there's got to be a way to help your clients achieve their goals, and their goals can be buying another house or buying a multifamily. And, most of these people are not, savvy to our business, which we're experts at, what we're supposed to be. And today, Apple broke $3 trillion. I mean, that's a milestone for people who have money. So that's the message I have today. And my action plan is to speak to every one of my clients who might be able to buy another property and see how what they're doing over the weekend to make that happen for them. I don't know if that's the right thing or wrong thing, but I think that helps them because every one of them seems to be wanting to buy property, get into this business right now, something that's unique. So I don't know if that helps or hurts people.
No, Erica, it helps a lot. And you know what? I'm just thinking about, the journey of buying a home and how many twists and turns it has in the plot, right?
That's interesting you say that, because it seems that, with the agents on here, there's a lot of generalities that we're talking about, but specifically, I haven't had a moment that hasn't been included in negotiating the final strike number on a house. I mean, I'm going over 20%. And then when it comes down to it, after it's all said and done, there's either a renegotiation but all these expectations have to be met before the appraisal comes in, before the inspection comes in. Everybody's on the same wavelength. So that's what we're dealing with today. And I'm sure everybody on here, if they're successful, is involved in the market going up 10 to 15%, which isn't even, you can't even see that in the numbers yet. They're not even listed. So that's where we're at right now. And if my clients aren't willing to go that way, I usually just tell them don't expect to win. And that's been a successful thing over the last couple of, month or two. I don't know if that's going to last that way, but that seems to be what it is today.
Yep. And your ability to overcome challenges in the transaction is just also part of the mindset, the way that you embrace challenges instead of, get afraid of them. I see agents in the business like, oh my God, we have this problem, the deal's going to die. And I see agents like, Eric and Jackie, like, oh, we have this little hiccup in the road. We just got to figure out how we get around it. And it's not putting your own commission front and center. It's saying that, the client wants to buy a house, another client wants to sell a house. We need to figure out how to connect those dots, how to pull it all together.
Well, my main line today is, I tell them I'd rather you not buy a house if you're unhappy with the result. However, you should be happy paying 10% over everyone else. And if they say, yeah, we're fine with that because that's where the market is, they have to rely on our expertise. And that's the experience required. And as you know, it started in 1983. So I've seen ups and downs and ups and downs. I see this market zooming ahead and the market is really strong.
Yep. So I hope we have 5 groups. That's 10 people that create accountability partnerships from today or more. And doing the unexciting things consistently will, according to Robert Garver, and I believe it, will double your business. Okay. So please, take advantage of that. If anybody wants to, it's not a gimmicky thing, but if anybody wants to learn how to get a free cruise, you can just text me. I'll just share with you the simple way of doing it. It's really pretty cool, and it actually works. For $400 or less, or could be even completely free, you can get a free cruise and a $400 credit, not have to do anything, not have to gamble, do anything. No timeshare presentation. I'd be glad to share it with you. It's not what we do here, but as you can see, it's a nice cruise ship in Cozumel, gratis. So have a great day, everybody. If you're interested, just let me know. I'd be glad to share it with you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Great job.
Bye, Rob.